Sometimes when you're going through life, it just feels like you go through a dry spell. You've got the blahs. You just don't feel God's presence. You feel God's a million miles away. You feel like your prayers are just bouncing off the ceiling. Well, if that's ever happened to you, congratulations, you're normal. Did you know that sometimes God actually removes the feelings in order for you to learn to trust Him by faith rather than by your feelings? I remember one time when I was a young man, I was a young preacher, and I was speaking in a church for several nights, and it just seemed like the Spirit was dead there, that nobody was paying any attention and nobody was interested in what I was saying, and I was so discouraged. And I didn't know whether I was supposed to fight it or to accept it. I didn't know if I was supposed to give in to it or if I was supposed to resist it. And I got down on my knees and I said, Lord, show me what to do when you're distant, when I don't feel your presence. And I remember I got up off of the ground where I'd been kneeling, and I was looking through the pastor's library, and I saw a record. Some of you are old enough to remember records, and I pulled it out, and it was a sermon on how to help your church grow. Now, I wasn't even a pastor at the time, but I thought, I'd like to help my church grow. So I asked the pastor, would you play this record for me? And he said, sure. And he put it on, but he put it on the opposite side by accident. And on the back side of that record, on the wrong side, was a sermon on discouragement and dry spells. And that pastor said something I've never forgotten. He said, you don't determine a man's greatness by his talent or his wealth or his education, but you determine a man's greatness by what it takes to discourage him. What does it take to discourage you? One little word of criticism and you want to give up? Maybe God seems distant in your life right now. Hang on. You know, I live by the Pacific Ocean, and I've learned that the tide goes out, but it always comes back in. And this will happen in your life if you'll trust Him. Enjoy reading this chapter 14, When God Seems Distant.